Welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have the guiding light, Matt Taylor, professional wrestler. He has been all over the Ohio territories, the Pennsylvania territories, the Virginia territories, the West Virginia territories.
Everywhere, man.
West.
All over.
Matt, tell us about yourself, sir.
Oh, well, I think you covered most, man. I've been a independent wrestler all over the Midwest for the last 20 years or so. Just kind of been working my way through, man, having the time of my life.
Now, when did you get started?
I started back in December of 2000. I was 13 years old. Yeah, that's when I first started training.
Damn. Now, who would you train under?
I trained at the IWA in Columbus. There was a few different trainers at the time, but one of the main people to actually, take the time to train me was the Butcher, Jeremy Madrox. And then they had a kids class there. So from the time I was, 13 to 18, that was life, man. Every Wednesday and Sunday.
Damn. Now, being 13, how long before you had your first match?
Well, I would love to tell you it was like 5 years when I turned 18, but it was not, because at the time they had these kids shows that were once a month. So they were the last Sunday of every month. So I trained for all of 20 some days before I had my actual first match on one of those shows. Yeah. So thankfully it was just in front of, friends and family, but my first official, actual wrestling match, I was 13 and I was about 28 days in, man.
Ooh. Yeah. Dang, that's incredible though that you got your parents to sign off on something like.
Oh, they didn't like it.
They didn't like
it? No.
But they still signed off on it though. So.
Yeah, it was one of those things that because obviously ever since I was old enough to walk, it was always wrestling. So the moment I found my way in, they knew that, they couldn't really tell me no. So
they knew as soon as you discovered wrestling, it was over.
Yeah, I was done at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Now see, me at 13, I would have never thought of looking for a school, but I loved wrestling at 13. And I completely knocked my cousin unconscious, pile driving him onto a hardwood floor.
I did that to my brother as well. So actually, I didn't really. It kind of just fell in my lap, and I'm going to date myself a lot here because the IWA at the time had a show on the local access channel, and on there they had a preview, a commercial for their class and everything. So that's actually how I found it. I didn't go out finding it; it just kind of fell in my lap type thing.
Dang, that's pretty good. And 20 years, man. That's a good run. And you are we were talking before we started recording. Is I don't get out to watch as much wrestling as I'd like, just because of my business and stuff. But I do get to occasionally watch you guys still on YouTube and the internet and stuff like that. And the whole guiding light Matt Taylor, because when I discovered you were the DarkStar Matt Taylor and back in the day, and I think you're doing some of the best work, your character work that I think you've done, just from what I've seen. But you're killing it as the guiding light. That's a good one.
It's definitely been what I'm most proud of, because I put a lot of thought into it, and it's kind of one of those things that I finally felt comfortable with, and that's wrestling. If you're not comfortable, it shows through. But I finally found this, and it's just like putting on the right pair of pants. Yeah, it's just
well, to be honest, the DarkStar Matt Taylor, I never quite got. I never quite got the what your character was at that moment. But and you took the guiding light, and I see you wrestling him as that, the guiding light on multiple promotions, and that's pretty good when you're able to take your character. Because I've seen from back in the day, you'd go in one, promotion, you'd have these two guys over here feuding, then you'd go over here to this promotion and be tag team partners, and then you go over here.
Right. Well, when I first came up with the idea, I think back in 2018, and I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in. So that was a very big, important thing for me. I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm all in. So if I'm going from here to there to anywhere, I don't want, especially now we live in 2023. So people aren't dumb anymore. They can log on to Facebook, YouTube, or anything, and be like, hey, wait a minute, he's this guy over here. Why is he this guy over here? So it was very important to me, and I make that clear. Like any place I go, like, this is who I am. This is what I do, and we got to be all in with it, man.
So you just lay it out front. You don't have the promoters telling you, well, we need you to be this character this week. Yeah.
Right. Yep. I can't. It's hard enough to make people believe that you're a cult leader without, slapping them in the face with it. So if we're doing it, we're all in, man.
Oh yeah, you got to be. It's all or nothing, and it's fun because I've done some interviews with some other wrestlers. I did one with the one that I had to shit can because just because of logistical issues and problems we had, but they character. You stage a character. They did not break kayfabe the entire episode but it was legitimately, they were in California and I kept losing them through the entire thing. So we just kind of gave up, and that episode is lost to time now.
Might be for the best,
Yeah. I figured that's what I figured. If we're going to have that many problems with it, just let it die.
Right.
And I'll get back to it later. Now I gotta ask you, what match or what wrestler got you into professional wrestling?
Oh man, the easy answer is always, especially people of my age and generation, it's always Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, and all that stuff. My one memory that I always have is I would always go to my local Blockbuster and rent a WrestleMania 4, and WrestleMania 4 was always like my big one that I'd watch all the way through. So watching that all the way through and seeing Macho Man as champion at the end, that was kind of the thing that always stuck with me. I was like, man, this is what I want to do. And then I got my Macho Man wrestling buddy, and that was it, man.
It was done from there.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember meeting.
I have it somewhere.
You guys.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any of my old school wrestling stuff from when I was a kid. I think I have maybe some of the programs from when I used to go to Hair Arena and
cool.
go to WWF house shows back in the day, and where I met Andre the Giant and Macho.
Get out of here!
Not at the same time.
That's so cool, though.
Well, Macho Man was only meeting. I mean, not Macho Man. Andre the Giant, when I met him, was only meeting kids.
Yeah.
No adults. So he was like, little kids were coming up to him, and I remember being. I don't know if I was like 12, so I wasn't like little, but I wasn't big yet. And I remember him like leaning over. He's like, "Hello, little man," and he like grabs my head and like rubs my hair, and he's like,
"That's a story for a lifetime. I mean, that's amazing."
Oh man,
I'm jealous.
It was so cool. And then I met Macho Man down the road. I met him there like for the first time, and then I met him again when he was in WCW and I don't think awesome. That man was always on. Always on.
Oh yeah.
So
that's it, man. Like I was saying, earlier, that's it. You find that thing you're good at, and it's all in. Yep. And he was definitely all in.
Him and Mr. T were probably the ones that I met that never broke character ever.
You met Mr. T too?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I met Mr. T in I think 1993 when he was pushing his comic.
That's so cool.
And it was one of the craziest moments because I was sitting there because he's like talking to all these people and you're like, hey, people are asking questions, and he always referred to himself as Mr. T, third person. Yeah. He's like, I was like, hey, Mr. T, what's up with all the jewelry? And he's like, well, Mr. T was poor when he's growing up, and he goes on this whole thing. He goes, So now I got money. I got to wear jewelry. I'm like, all right. And then
I've heard
I
that
asked
rant
him what was
before.
up with the Mohawk. And he goes, the Mohawk represents the Indians because the Indian was the first people to accept the black man in America. And I'm like, oh, well, he's got a good, but he always referred to Mr. T says. And I'm like, all right, okay.
He's got it down too.
Yep. He was super cool, but you're just like, this man is crazy.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
But you
got to be a little bit, man.
Oh yeah. It's been a fun trip on meeting some of these people I've met, and I've ran into you at Horror Hound and stuff like that. So you've got to met some people over there, and you probably met some wrestlers over the years.
I have.
Yes,
quite a few.
Oh man. Now, have you ever got to wrestle anybody that you idolized when you were younger?
I mean, obviously, I've gotten in the ring with people like Al Snow, Honky Tonk Man, Greg Valentine. Let's see, who else? I've been in the ring with AJ Styles. I recently last year I got to wrestle Pushwhacker Luke, so that one was kind of one of the first times I actually took a moment to like, how do I word it? To like actually like appreciate what was happening around me, because there was one of those moments like there was like 5,000 people there, and I kind of stopped to look around, and they were all at once doing his little march, and I was like, you know what, this is pretty cool, type thing. That was cool. Yeah, I mean, I've wrestled so many now. It's just kind of I don't know. You kind of penalize the idolizing part from the work part. So it's been a cool ride, man.
I was going to ask you the starstruck. You ever get into the ring where you're just like, oh, I'm wrestling this guy. Oh man, don't fuck up.
No, that part luckily has never happened. I honestly think because like the first real like name I wrestled was Vader, and he knocked the shit out of me. So after that, I was 18 too. So he knocked the shit out of me, and after that, I was just kind of like, you know what, this is real now. It's a job. They're taking it seriously, so I shall too. Type thing. Yeah.
You talk about the Bushwhackers. The Bushwhackers did a signing here in Piqua years upon years ago at the mall. And they had a bar in the mall at that point. So me and my buddies went in and met, and we're sitting in the bar drinking. And then it was, I think, the Bushwhackers and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And they come into the bar when they're done signing. And everybody's buying them drinks. And the Bushwhackers are going over and licking people and do it. And I'm like, oh, don't lick me. Don't lick me. And he goes, "Why?" I was like, "You licked me. I'm going to get my ass beat, but there's going to be a problem." And he's
they're
like,
the nicest guys ever, though, man.
Oh, they thought I was hilarious when I told him. I was like, "Oh, I had to fight you. Don't lick me." But cool dudes, man. Hacksaw
yeah, nice can be. Yeah, all of them.
And now, without saying any names, you ever been really disappointed with somebody when you met them?
Oh God, yeah. You manage your expectations because the business takes a toll on people, so you kind of gotta expect that sort of thing. But yeah, there's been countless times like, man, come on, just be cool, type thing. Yeah.
And I've told people I've never experienced it, but I've told them some horror stories about like other people I've met through the comic book industry and people who are promoters in other areas and stuff. And they'll tell me these stories about back when like Jake the Snake was in bad shape. And I'm just like, oh my God. And you just wonder, and I guess I could put this to you. If you know, like when Jake the Snake was at his worst, or when like New Jack and stuff like that, would you, if you were a promoter, would you have hired them?
I honestly think when things like that happen, you never actually expect them to show up like that. So you're kind of hoping for the best type thing. So I think a lot of promoters look at it as they're trying to outweigh the good and the bad. Because, you think if you bring someone in like Jake or something like that, you're expecting, 1980s Jake, and you're expecting all the fans that come with it and hope that, the demons part don't show up. I don't think anyone ever actually plans on that part happening.
Yeah, because I think I had a conversation a few years back with Gigi, and I told him, I was like, man, if you hired New Jack and he injured somebody, stabbed somebody or something like that, are you responsible because you're the one that brought him in, or so it's like one of those questions.
Well, that scenario happened with Paul Heyman, so it was still on New Jack.
Yeah.
He went to jail for it, so it answers your question.
There we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So you've wrestled just a ton in this area. Like I said, I'm trying to remember every place that I've seen you post lately, and you're pretty much like everywhere, like every weekend it seems you are out there.
I try to keep busy.
Yeah. Now, because a few weeks ago, God damn, I'm trying to remember. I think you were in like West Virginia on like a Saturday, and then like Michigan on a Sunday or something like that.
Yeah, it's yes, it was I think that weekend I did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so it was just kind of one after another, and just kind of rode the loop around and back home. I did a whole little diamond type thing.
You guys with the being on the road, that's holy shit. That's got to be rough, man. Just
it is. It's fun though. I mean, if it wasn't fun,
then you
wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess it's that thing that you're passionate about and you love, so you're gonna do it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm a comic book guy. I did conventions for years. Every weekend, man. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're on the road. Come home. Got to get up the next morning. Go to your regular job. Weekend hits. Back on there every weekend.
So. Don't get me wrong. There's always that moment, like right before it starts. You're like, man, do I really want to do this? And then you make the drive, and then you get in the ring, you get in the locker room. Like, all right, cool, I'm there. But there's always that moment of, all right, let's do this. Yeah.
And no, I know you're a horror fan, stuff like that. Now, when you go, you're like, okay, I got to look and see. Okay, Horror Hound is this weekend. No bookings that weekend. Did you ever do
that? No, honestly, man. When you saw me there, that was just a luck of the draw type thing. I've missed because me and my brother are both big fans of that stuff, and so he goes to them all the time, and so it's just kind of like I rarely get to go, and then that one time I did. So hopefully, as I start slowing down, I get to go to more and more because I do enjoy that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know how it is because it's hard for me to get to go sometimes. Literally, the last time I went, I had no plans on going. One of my buddies goes, "You want to go to Horror Hound this weekend?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't have the time. I don't have a ticket yet." He goes, "Oh, I got you a ticket," and I'm like, "Okay, well." I can't say no. And then I was like, man, I was looking at my schedule and I was like, I can't really go. And I was like, well, there was the one when Matthew Lillard was there. So
I have a great story about that. Yeah.
So I told my wife wanted to meet him. And I was like, hey, do you want to go? I was like, you just have to ride down with Mick and his, and she's like, oh, she goes, why don't you go? And I'm like, well, I don't. So I end up meeting Matthew Lillard, got the picture taken with him and the whole 9 yards. Didn't pay for any of it, which was awesome. So I'm cheap as shit. No,
yeah, I got you. That's actually what got me there because I'm a huge a Scream fan, and my brother asked, he's like, "Do you want to go meet Nev Campbell?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I want to go meet her. Of course I do." So we're waiting in line to meet her, and as I'm waiting in line, somebody puts their arm around me. And I look up, Matthew Lillard. I'm like, what's up, man? I say, hey, how's it going? I'm like, going great. And he just walks away. I'm like, all right, that was cool.
It was something kind of like that happened to the last one because we went this year and this was they had a bunch of the people from Cobra Kai there. So I'm sitting there, and we're in the where the eat there, in that little food court area there, and I'm sitting there, and we're all leaving, and this kid starts talking to me, and I'm just chit chatting with this dude, whatever, and I'm like, all right, man. He's like, have a good day, have a good day. We walk off, and these people come to me and goes, oh, you know who that was? I'm like, no. And they're like, man, that's Solo, that's Blue Beetle and the kid from Karate from Cobra Kai. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
dude,
cool, because he had
that's
a
awesome.
beard, and I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
recognize him.
that's so cool, actually.
And then
I love
later
that kid.
on, riding the elevator, and there's talking to this girl in there, and just chit chatting. Get off there, and I'm sitting there going, man, that girl looks so familiar. And then I walk into the room where everybody's signing, and I was like, oh, it's the bad girl from Cobra Kai.
It's Tori. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, because she
Very
cut her
cool,
hair
man.
really short, so it's like
Yeah,
maybe like here, but
I got
Georgia.
it.
But
Incognito.
yeah,
Yeah,
but as we're talking horror convention, I want to talk wrestling here.
yeah. I'm down for either, man. Honestly.
I am. So I got to ask you then, horror wise, what's your go to horror movie?
uh, it's either always a Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream. If I'm just sitting down to watch that, it's that. And then yeah, but that's always it. It's because I'm a Wes Craven guy, so I'll if I'm just sitting down, it's those, for sure. I've the Scream franchise is by far my favorite, so I'll sit down and watch those all the time.
Oh, now, see, I love Scream 1, two's okay, 3 disappointed me so bad. It took me
Yeah.
forever to go back to the series. I've watched 4, and I don't think I've watched anything past that. Maybe 5.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
The I said the last one is a made for TV Scream movie. So that's my best way to describe it. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel the same anymore, but obviously it's not without Wes. So
There's no
yeah.
Wes, no Nev
Yeah.
Campbell. It's
Yeah.
weird.
It's
And
definitely different.
yeah. Now, when did you get into horror, or who got you
When
into
I
horror?
was young. When I was young. Uh, pretty much as far as I can remember, because my brother liked it. He's older. So anytime he would watch it, I would watch it. So I've been watching it since I was like 5. So desensitized, man. That's just kind of wrestling and horror. That's what I grew up with.
I've noticed how much horror and wrestling goes hand in hand.
It's all, yeah, man. It's
And
the same culture almost.
yeah, it's
People,
like
yeah.
I run into these people, and they're big horror fans, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I love wrestling." I'm like, I kind of figured you would, just because you're.
I think it all goes like hand in hand, because when they were both like really big was the 80s, so
Mhm.
just kind of all pop culture thing, man.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now go back to wrestling here.
All right.
Who are you digging right now in wrestling?
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to give the old guy answer. I don't watch it as much as I used to.
I don't either.
But I do obviously try to watch and keep up and everything. But I like Cody. Like he's great right now. Everything he does is just kind of it's perfect on the mic in the ring. It's just he doesn't really like take a night off. So
Yeah,
that's probably like my.
yeah. If you'd have told me 10 years ago Cody would be one of the number 1 people in wrestling, I'd have been like,
Yeah, I enjoy that. Yeah, man, like you can't go wrong there. And then obviously what Roman's done the last 4 years has been amazing to watch too. So
who would ever guess that was going to happen?
I mean, it was always there. Just kind of unlock it, man.
Yeah, because we're talking about the getting the character. You just wonder, because he had that character not that character, but the Roman Reigns early character, the suffering succotash guy
Yeah.
that Vince McMahon was trying to make sure everybody wanted, that
Yeah.
nobody wanted. To be able to go from that to being the tribal chief,
Mhm.
you wonder how much of that was him, because
Who would have thought that the good looking guys would make a good dick, you know? So just smile and tell me how much better than you are, you know? That's it.
and this is, I don't know if this is your case, but I've talked to other wrestlers and they say that their character is them turned up to 11.
Man, I sure hope not with me, because I don't think I'm a cult leader, but no, that's always the case, that type thing. And it comes back to what I said earlier. It's about being comfortable, and people are most comfortable being themselves. So if you can do that and be a character, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's it is an amazing trip that I've seen you go on. I'm trying to remember when I started seeing you guys. God, I go back to DarkStar and watching you guys. Geez, 2015, 2016, maybe.
It was around that time, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and you were putting on good matches, and like I said, I just didn't know the character yet.
I don't think I knew how to articulate it yet. uh, the character was always meant to be just that lone wolf gunslinger type thing that he'll go down fighting. That was all that character is. And I think I betrayed it better other places than there, but I definitely feel more comfortable as the guiding light now.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's really what I always felt like that your character in that era was kind of like a gun for hire guy. The guy that when you needed somebody to come in and beat the shit out of somebody, it was this guy who come in and would fight somebody.
There was that moment in time where any new guy came in, they were put with me, so I can see that.
Yeah. Well, you could put on a good match. Like I said, even when I didn't know what your character was supposed to be, you were putting on good matches. You could tell that you could bring in somebody new and that they would put them with you or Aaron or somebody who has some miles on you, I guess, not in a bad way, but that you had some experience and you guys could make these guys look good, put them over. So even if they lost, it still looked like they weren't just getting destroyed in the ring.
That's the name of the
yeah. And it's got to be weird to be the, I guess, elder statesman now and being able to look back at how you've grown and
I was who was I with? I was with Aaron and somebody else not too long ago, and I was just kind of sitting in the corner, and I said, "Hey, man, we're the old guys now. That's weird." Just looking around the locker room, going, "Oh yeah, we're definitely So yeah, it's weird.
We're the veterans.
Weird.
When the hell did that happen?
Yeah, blink of an eye, man. That's life."
Oh, believe me. I now go to concerts and I'm that guy that looks around. I'm like, okay, I'm not the oldest guy here. Don't get about that.
Look around, find a spot to sit. All right, we're good.
I almost sit at shows, man. I hate sitting at a show.
I've gotten in this good groove where I will find a spot to sit up until the moment where I want to actually watch the band I'm there to watch, and then boom, I'm up. So
me front. Poof. If I can get up front as fast as I can, I sit there and I stay there until the end of the show.
Dude, I would die.
I don't even.
5 hours of standing. I would die.
No, man. I do. I just did a concert last Tuesday, all the way up. Drove all the way over to Columbus. Went to the wrong club first because I was an idiot, and stood through the entire show. I went to a show a few weeks before that. Stood the entire time, and
Columbus.
Going to tell you this much: in less than a year, I'll be 50. So I think I'm putting on a pretty keep it going.
Yeah, right on, man. Killing it. That's awesome.
Oh man. As I tell people, I was like, when I get tired of going to concerts, then it's time to just call it quits. Now, are you one of them guys that's got to listen to music and get pumped before you go in the ring?
No, I am I'm the most chill guy ever until like 5 minutes before I go out, and then I kind of pace back and forth, and then I'm gone. People give me crap about that all the time because up until like right before I'm about to go out, I'm doing what we're doing right now. I'm just sitting here, just talking, shooting the shit. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to go. All right, let's go.
No pre-match rituals or nothing like that.
No, man. I'll stretch and then I'll talk, and then once it's time to go, I'll kind of pace back and forth. I'll get my legs warmed up, and then it's time to go.
Yeah. Now, I got to ask: are you one of the superstitious guys that's got to keep something like one thing's got to stay the same?
No, yeah. I will always say a small prayer right before I go out. But that's always the same thing. I've done that ever since I was a kid. So that's probably about the closest thing to it. But beyond that, man, no, I'm not really. We let the fates decide out there.
I've talked to people and they're like, I've had the same knee pad since like 1983, and he goes, I just put it underneath.
I've had that. I have not changed my knee pads once, but it's not out as superstition. It's just they work still.
Yeah, still going. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever find it hard traveling around, being on the road, your normal life and stuff, and getting like workouts in and stuff like that?
Not anymore because of Planet Fitness, because it's everywhere. Yeah. So that helps out. It's always my big thing's always been food, man. Eating right on the road's impossible. So that's always been and plus I like to eat, so obviously my weight has been done this over the years, but hey, you know what? I'm happy.
Yeah, shoot, yeah. It's like shoot, I think one of the last times I saw you, well, maybe not the last time. I got like really healthy relatively recently. When I was used to go down to DarkStar, I was closing in on like 250 pounds. Now I'm down to like 167.
Nice, man. So that's awesome.
All workout, all eating right. You're right. You hit that road, man. You cannot find.
It's just so much easier to grab the gas station snack.
Although sit down. Speedway, now that they have that little cafe in there, chicken wrap. I get a chicken wrap.
Perfect. Sheets as well.
Yeah. So,
and if you're ever traveling up and down 71, the Oasis, place to go, man.
So, I travel and we go to wrestling up in Michigan. We go to wrestling here or there, and we have places that we'll stop and eat, or places we'll go. Do you have like a favorite place on the road that you'll hit?
I just told you.
Oh,
it's the Oasis, man. It's up by Akron. It's a gas station that has a Pizza Hut and a Popeyes inside of it, and a full cafe. It's perfect.
Shoot, great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And people and Popeye's chicken too. Shit, that's good stuff. We although my wife and I went to New Orleans a few years back, and there's a Popeye's chicken right next to the hotel we were at, and I was like, I know it's not, but my brain tells me that the Popeye's chicken in New Orleans is going to be better than Popeye's chicken everywhere else.
I bet it was too.
It tasted like Popeye's chicken.
You're lying to me, man.
It was Louisiana's favorite chicken.
You're like, chicken Popeyes.
It was still delicious. Popeye's chicken. Yeah. What's to go wrong with that?
You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite place to wrestle currently?
War will always obviously have a special place in my heart because the crowds there are amazing. But there's a new company up in Canton called Indy Pro Wrestling, and the guys running it are great. The crowds are great. It's just been a really cool environment. The locker room's awesome. So yeah, that's kind of like my favorite spot right now.
That's nice. Well, I talked with and I'm drawing a blank. The guy who runs War. Why can't I think of his name?
Tom,
Yeah,
big time.
Big Tom. Yeah, I did an interview with him a while back, and man, he was just praising you and Aaron, and up one
He
side,
did.
down the other. Man, you guys were. He was just talking about how good you guys are doing and everything. So
Oh my goodness, that's news to me. I thought he hated me. No, I love
you
Tom.
dislike somebody doesn't mean that you can't think they're still good.
No, I love Tom. He loves
Yeah,
me. He'll never admit it, but he does.
yeah. Like I said, I've watched you grow and watching this new gimmick and stuff like that, and I think that like you said, you found your gimmick, you found comfort with it and stuff, and you can tell because the matches I've seen on YouTube and stuff like that flow better, they look better, and it's also the
Yeah.
fact that you've just matured, you've gotten better in the ring, just whatever. But it's cool seeing the, for lack of a better term, the kid I used to see down in Dayton to become the adult that's up here, wrestling in other organizations. So
It feels better too. I forget who I said it to, but I did because in War I went back to DarkStar. That's the only spot I'm doing it at now. And I came back and I looked at Jimmy Shane and I said, "Man, I think I forget how to DarkStar. I don't remember how to do it." So I think just the guiding lights kind of encompass who I am type thing. And I just think it's just overall it just leads to more complete matches
mm-hmm.
as a whole. So I don't know. I just it's the right pair of pants. It's what I feel comfortable in. So it's definitely been a cool trip.
Yeah, it's
Because honestly, I haven't told anyone on this because this is actually like the first podcast I've done like not in character since
yeah.
starting this whole thing. The original idea when I turned heel, I was going to be like this evil demon king type thing, and
Mm-hmm.
the two things happened that same like time period. Finn Balor, obviously, the Demon King's like, well, I can't do that now. And Matt Taven in Ring of Honor also started his kingdom. King gimmick is like, well, shit. You got a man, you got two guys who are way more successful than I am, so let's find something else. And you know what always made me mad was somebody saying, hey, you should believe in this. I went, oh, all right. That's my gimmick now.
So
And that's kind of how it started.
oh, that's
A complete accident type thing.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so I got to ask, do you remember your first gimmick?
My first gimmick, dude. I never really had a gimmick until, let's see. I did obviously the DarkStar thing, and then I started off as the shooting star, which I don't know what the hell that was. Made no sense either. And then I did the DarkStar, but it wasn't really catching on. Then I went to HWA. In HWA, they put me with my tag partner, Chad Cruz, and with King Vu. Then we became the Noble Bloods. So my first like real gimmick was a whole like very pretentious Blue Bloods type thing. So I'd always say that's my first gimmick because that's the first thing that really was, a character, not just some kid.
Wrestling loves giving these guys the blue blood, the rich guy. Aaron said the same thing. His was Chaz, like the spoiled rich guy, and I'm like,
which were the first things like from that, but you got to pull it off somehow, man.
if you're a professional wrestler, you're the furthest thing away from a rich guy.
Right.
Especially if you're
I think
starting out.
it's wishful thinking, man. It's where we want to be.
Now, did you ever like do a one-off gimmick where you were like, "Man, I got a really good idea"? Do a match and you're like, "That did not work at all."
Yeah, I did this like '80s rock gimmick type thing, and I was like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking afterwards. They just didn't fit.
Were you one of those kids when you were growing up trying to figure out who your character was before you even stepped in the, before you stepped in the ring at like 13. So that's,
Yeah, when I was a kid, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, yes, I was that kid. Because obviously from 13 to 18, I tried different things, but nothing really stuck. And then because wrestling's so funny, man, because it's either you're really good and you get it, or once you get it, you're too old type thing.
it's like I have a friend of mine who's a wrestler down in Tennessee, and he keeps bugging me because he wants to have a match with me as our characters from the Monster Channel. So my character, which I'm Captain Cartoon, I do Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that, or I'm the captain, and then he's Tony, he's a hack, and he wants to have a ring. He goes, we can have a street fight. He goes, I'll bring my ring up. We'll set everything up. He goes, I'll put you over. And I'm like, dude, I'm almost 50. I was like, I don't know if I want to step in the ring at 50.
You got this, man.
And he goes, and the worst part about it is at this point, I'm probably in better shape than Tony is. And he's at least 10 years younger than me. Yeah. But I actually begin taking care of myself now that I'm an old man. Yeah.
That's the way it works. It's like I gotta do something.
Yeah. I tell people now, I was like, if I'd have known that I was going to still be around at almost 50, I would have taken care of myself at 20. So I was like, right? I'd be jacked now. I'd be like a fucking monster. Yeah. Actually, I'd probably be like Chris Jericho and fluctuate, be kind of chubby and then skinny and then kind of fit and then chubby and then skinny.
That's the booze, man.
So with going out there, you're wrestling every weekend, everything else like that. Do you have a shoot job that your weekday job, or are you professional wrestler all the time?
Oh, I'm a professional wrestler all the time, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So it's one of the ones where you ever out and have people recognize you when you're like out of character.
Yep, all the time. That sounds bad. Not all the time, but when I'm in like settings like a whorehound or something like that. When I'm out in like a fair or something like that, yes, it happens. But which to this day it's still really weird. Oh, because who am I?
Yeah, it's one of the ones where you're just not ready for when people recognize you outside of like your biosphere that you exist in, and a little bubble type thing. Yeah, it's weird for me. I got noticed when I ran into you at Horror Hound. I had people recognize me, and they're like, I had somebody like kind of do one of those on my shoulder, and he's like, "Love the show," and I'm like, "Who is that?" My wife goes, "What are you looking for?" I have no idea. Somebody said they liked the show and they walked off. It's like, I don't know. Man,
I was at Disneyland and somebody randomly walked up and said, "DarkStar!" Hugged me and left. I was like, what the? It's no way.
Do you ever find people that have hard times differentiating between the character and the
especially now? Like you would think that it's over the top enough, but no, people tell me I need God all the time now, and like, or they're really into what I'm doing, and that's also a problem. But yes, even you would think, it being 2023 that people could, separate the two, but no, people definitely get really into it still, and they have a hard time separating the two.
Yeah, I used to have a wall at the comic shop with pictures of all the different wrestlers and stuff I've met over the years. And one of them was Kevin Sullivan. Mm-hmm. And this old lady was sitting there. She just looks up at that picture and she goes, "I don't like him." And I was like, "Oh, why?" She goes, "He's the devil." And I ended up telling Kevin that like a year later. And I was like, "Hey, this old lady comes in." He goes, "Next time she comes in," he goes, "tell her I love her." And no sooner did I meet him, like a month later, this lady walks in and with her grandkid and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, I talked to Kevin Sullivan the other day." And he goes, "I told him that you said he was the devil." And she goes, he is. And I goes, you know what he said to me? And she goes, what? And he goes, he said he loves you. And she goes, I don't like that.
Yeah, Kevin's great, man. I love that guy a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a good dude, and that guy knew how to keep a gimmick and how to the. I watched the thing with him the other day,
yeah.
and that was crazy.
I wrestled him like 10 years ago in West Virginia, and just still as heavy as could be, just great, humble guy, and like amazing,
Yeah.
amazing person.
Yeah. So it's. Do you think, since we're talking about this, I would say you think kayfabe is dead, but so many people are so passionate about it. I don't think it can die.
I don't think it's. I mean, clearly everyone knows, but I don't think it has to be dead, because obviously, you can still portray your character to a point that it's alive. I think people have just kind of lost that, and they use the internet and beyond the mat as a crutch type thing. You can still make people believe if you really want to.
Yeah, because they're
a lot of work. But,
well, I think that's where you can tell who is really passionate about wrestling and who's just there to, cash a paycheck. Or even though I think if you're in indie wrestling and you're just there to try to draw a paycheck, you're
doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. I got a guy who comes in the shop now. He was trained by George South. This kid's got passion. He's tries to stay in character even when he's at the shop. He's making sure he has his pictures, his cards with him everywhere he goes. And you're just like, okay, I guess you gotta, I wouldn't think you'd have to, but then I was like, yeah, because you never know. I'm in the comic book business, but I also knew people who were in the comic book business and a wrestling promoter. So,
yeah.
And we were trying at one point. I was trying so hard, and it was the one thing my wife has finally. My wife has never told me no, like in my life, because she's like, you're going to fuck up and you're going to realize that you don't need to do that like a child. And I was buying a wrestling ring, and she looked at me and she goes, I've never told you no in my entire life, but I think this is the one time I'm going to tell you no. And I was like, well, I'm not going to run it. I'm just going to own it. I'm going to own it. I'm going to set it up. I'm just going to run the bit. I'm going to own the business. I'll let somebody else book and everything else. Like she goes, you say that, but you're not going to. She goes,
did you thank her?
Huh? Oh yeah,
I told her. You thank her because she saved you a major headache, man.
She goes, you stay so busy. She goes, the last thing you need to do is add one more thing to your thing, and except for it's not going to be one thing. It's going to be running the business. It's going to be booking and everything else like that. She goes, because all it's going to take you is the one time where your friend books somebody that you don't like, and you're gonna be like, yeah, no.
Yep.
That guy.
Nope, I get it. Trust me. Nope, I got you. Nope. Yeah, she saved you so many headaches, man.
and my other buddy who's gotten a little bit more behind the scenes of wrestling, he goes, don't let it happen. He goes, he's one of the ones that wanted me to do it, wanted to run it, and then he started getting behind the scenes at other wrestling, and he's like, the magic's gone a little bit. He goes, because I've seen behind the curtain. And he goes, I don't want to lose it all, so don't do that. I was like, yeah, Bill, you were going to be the one that was going to be booking, not me. Because, oh, yeah,
it's that Santa Claus moment, man.
Yeah.
It gets taken away. You're like, no. Yeah.
But,
have fun with it, man. Yeah.
So I just, last wrestling match I went to was a train wreck because a bunch of shit happened. One is that the ring did not show up until halfway through the event, so they basically did an on the floor.
Oh no!
It was originally it was supposed to be a no rope barbed wire death match, and by the time it was done,
you don't need a ring for that. You're good.
Yeah, and by the time it was done, it was a no ring barbed wire death match. They basically made these things up in either corner and had a barbed wire run into it. And just a tarp, and so thinking of that, do you have any horror stories?
Did they take an intermission to set up the ring?
No, Nope, the
Or did
ring
they
was
say
still
fuck it?
sitting out in the parking lot when we left.
So you can just see it?
Yeah, you can see it. You can see the ring. Matter of fact, one match went outside, and they did wrestle technically on the ring.
You know what? You have to at that point.
On the
We are
trailer.
all of us are smart asses at heart, so I would have done the same thing. So I get it. I get it.
Took it out to the ring.
Sorry, your question was, did I have a story like that?
Yeah, any horror stories?
Oh man, I don't think I've ever had anything where like the ring doesn't show up, but I showed up to a show where the ring was it was safer to wrestle on the outside of it. I think that's probably like my biggest one because we got in the ring and the boards did a snake pattern and the ropes were. I was like, no, we can fight on the outside. And that's it. Type thing. So that's probably like my biggest like one that was like you step in there, you go, no, I'm not. I have to wrestle tomorrow. I'm not gonna hurt myself today type thing.
I couldn't the like water damaged? Like warped all the way through the
Yeah, because most like sometimes the people that care less about what they're doing, they'll store the ring outside. So whenever that happens, obviously,
damn,
the boards are ruined, the padding's ruined, everything's done at that point. Yeah, they think because it's in a trailer with a tarp on it, that's fine. But
moisture,
water's water, man.
Yeah, it goes wherever it wants to go.
Right.
Oh my God. That's like there's these guys local, and they're not. I found them because I knew people backyard wrestled locally. And I knew they had a ring. And then I found out where it was. And this ring sits outside all year round, 365 days a year, 2 feet of snow. That ring is sitting outside. And I see them kids because I used to drive by and I would see them out there on Saturday nights wrestling in that ring. And I'm like, nope.
No,
One of you's going to die in that ring.
You're going to get tetanus, and that is the least of your worries, man. Yeah.
Go through the boards. No, like
I admire the passion, at least, you know.
Yeah, and these guys are busting their ass and doing it, but you're just like, man, you do nothing. Yeah. So
at some point, you got to care about yourself and body.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing we had to talk because, like I said, I go up to Michigan now. I got my buddy takes me up there, and he's always like, man, I want to go by myself. You want to go see wrestling up Michigan? I'm like, yeah. So we go up there for deathmatch wrestling, and I'm just looking at these guys, and I'm like, I know you guys have to have a regular job, and I couldn't imagine showing up for work just covered from head to toe in little freaking cuts from light tubes and panes of glass and
I give them all the credit in the world for it, man.
Oh man,
I couldn't do it.
And it's funny because Satu, I can't remember his last name, what he goes by, but he looks at me and goes, "Watch that guy," because it's like his job to bleed. And no sooner does he say that, and he walks by, and I look down, there's blood on my pants, and I'm like, "Son of a bitch!" All right, so
I didn't piss.
And then, going back to that last one with the no match, the no ring. Last match, we are front row the entire thing going through there. It is Lindsay Snow, Mother Endless. I'm trying to remember who the other two people in the ring were. But they're wrestling.
Designated fighting here.
Yeah, they're fighting, and the match is going on and on and on. Lindsay grabs this guy and throws him, and he lands right on my lap. And he gets up, and I look down, brand new pants, first day I wore them. And I have blood from my hip down to like halfway through my calf. And I'm like, and I got to drive back to Ohio. I hope I don't get pulled over.
Yeah, I mean, you were kind of asking for it being in the front row. But yeah, I would have still been pissed.
Yeah. I was like, fucking seriously? Yeah. And but it was bad because I was like, man, if we get pulled over, what have I got to say? Because tell them it's not yours. I'm like, that's not going to make it any easier. It's
a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's not my blood. Don't worry about it. No.
Yeah, it's fine, officer.
But oh my god, no, I give them guys tons of credit because they're
absolutely.
they're in there beating the ever loving crap out of each other, cutting each
It's
other.
not for me, but I respect the hell out of it, man.
You know, I know I talked to Aaron, and this episode dropped. His episode dropped earlier today. Have you had any bad injuries or anything that you've taken time to have to come back from?
Dude, knock on wood, I've been lucky. The worst thing that's ever happened to me, I did a dive, and as I was coming down, my toes went straight into the ground, and I fractured my foot all the way down between my pinky toe and my foot all the way down. That took like 8 weeks to heal, but my dumb ass, I had the boot. Take the boot off, I'd wrestle, put the boot back on. So that's probably like the worst thing that's happened. But I didn't even stop with that because I'm done. I have this thing in my head. I think that if I stop, I'm just gonna stop. So
Well,
keep going.
I've talked to other people, and everybody said that it's hard to stop because that drug of walking out there and the adrenaline.
Oh, it's real.
People,
100% real, man.
yeah. And then you also get the ones who are just afraid to lose their spot. So, you know, if you're high up on the card with an, you know.
Yeah, I always say, and I should practice what I preach more, but I do honestly believe that, like, man, wrestling will always be there. So take care of yourself, get right, go home, be healthy type thing.
See,
Don't worry about that stuff.
I'm one of the people who thought, okay, you get injured, you have to leave for a while, and then you come back, and that makes it so much better that you have now that story that you were able to come back from injury and you're back wrestling and you're back there kicking ass. And I always thought that just continuing to work through it could be, you know, because it's detrimental. You know, you may never recover from blowing out a knee and continuing to wrestle on that knee. So, you know, but I always thought that
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, that pop, because I've seen it for years. Every time a injured wrestler comes back, they're huge when they come back.
Honestly, man, like wrestlers as a whole, we are the most insecure bunch of people that you will ever meet. So I think obviously always in the thought in the back of our head is, will they care type thing. So you don't want to let go, but you should, because obviously your physical health, your mental health is way more important. So obviously if we all thought like that and we were just took care of ourselves, we'd all be in a much better place. Because obviously, like you said, wrestling fans are the greatest fans ever. Mm-hmm. They won't forget, especially once you connect, man. Like a perfect example, and it made me feel old as hell. But I was at a show this summer. This kid walked up to me. He was like 19, and he was like, "Hey, man." I said, "What's up?" He's like, "I used to watch you when I was 9." And I went, "I still have your picture on my wall from when I was 9." I was like, "That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for being a fan." But like, wrestling fans are the greatest. They never forget, and they appreciate everything.
I think that the small amount of people, which are the internet wrestling community, make the larger wrestling fandom look like shit, because you get those people who are very much vocal. They are on the internet complaining about stuff all the time. Are this the small minority? But they complain so much it looks like they've got this much power when they're only this much. When if you take everybody else, they would blow everybody else. Everybody else would blow them away. But it's a small little group of people that got to screw it up first. Yeah, and that comes down to everything else. With even wrestlers, you got them small group of people in wrestling that make it shitty for other people.
Mm-hmm. You can't lie.
And and that's something I did not know was as bad as it is until relatively recently. That I was like, oh, you know, indie wrestling can't have that much politicking and all that stuff like that. And I'm looking into it. I was like, okay, if you're on a big scale, I could see it. But when you're, wrestling in a gym here, or an Eagles over here, or a VFW hall or something over here, I wouldn't expect that. But then I'm like looking into it, and they're like, nope, It's still just
Dude,
as bad, probably
like,
not, if not worse.
from
So,
your smallest backyard promotion with your friends up to the biggest, promotion there is. Everybody wants the politic. Everybody wants the spot. Everyone
see,
wants to step over the next guy to get what they want, unfortunately. But you have, and that is a minority, but it's a very, go back to the fans type thing. It's a very vocal,
mhm.
because let's be honest, man, like wrestling as a whole, it's very dog eat dog. It's not a matter of, it's not a matter of how good you are, but it's a matter of who you know and how you got there type thing.
I heard it was not. It doesn't matter how good you are; it's how loud you are and how
Yeah.
much you tell people how good you are. And it's a damn shame because there's some great wrestlers out there that
So many
don't
and
get a chance because of politics.
yeah, because either, and it's all dumb too. So it is what it is, But
Yeah, well, it's
life, man.
yeah, and it's a shame. Like I pitched of all things, I was years ago, I was working with some other people, and we were trying to bring this before Hair Arena closed. We were trying to bring a bunch of different promotions together to have one big like mega event, and we were renting out. We were going to rent out the Hair Arena. We were going to run it, and then oh my god, I did not realize how huge of a pain in the ass that
You
was going to be.
are the fourth person to tell me this same idea, and you're the fourth person to come back with that same response.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
it was a train wreck almost from the word go.
There was like at one point there was talk of having like one champion of Ohio, and all the promoters were going to try and get together and make it. I was like, oh, okay,
Never going to happen.
We'll see, guys. Yeah,
That's like watching all this stuff with Ric Flair, and I'm like, how did the NWA, all them guys hated each other, come together and go, you know what? This guy is our champion. And you're just like,
money, man.
Yeah, it's money because he was the draw. But
yeah, he made the most money for you. And then that is the root of all evil. And money talks. So if you make money, that'll make everyone agree.
And there's people out there making money that I just look at and go, how the hell did you make it? And Aaron and I had that discussion. We talked about a couple wrestlers. I was like, there's a couple that made it to the WWE. There's one, I don't know how the hell he made it past the drug test. Because, and they're like, well, and people go, well, how do you know? That's just rumors. I'm like, dude, I walked in on him doing a line in the bathroom. I was like, I know what he was doing.
If they want you bad enough, they'll overlook a few things.
Yeah.
So
it was one of them ones where you're just like, and then everybody was like, are you sure it was cocaine? I'm like, I don't know. He was snorting something. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at that point.
Does it really matter?
Yeah.
You're putting something up your nose that shouldn't be there. So.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, it could have been Ritalin. I'm like, it's still not good, man.
Better, bro. That's not any better for you. It wasn't sinus medicine.
No. But, and people just like, I'm like, whatever, man. I walked in on it, and that's what I saw. Well, you can take it from there.
It is what it is. That's yeah.
And so thinking of that, have you ever had to get into the ring with somebody that was a train wreck that you knew shouldn't have been?
Yeah. It is. Yeah, like I said, man, that is what it is. It's just you work your way around it and you move on.
That is a shame. It's sad, being more, I guess, real, not looking through things like through rose-colored glasses. That's like going back and looking at my childhood and going, how did we not know that every wrestler was on cocaine back in the day? They're all sweaty and acceptable. Yeah.
It was widely acceptable then.
But it is what it is. But so do you have a dream list of people that you still like to wrestle that they haven't wrestled yet that you'd really like to get in the ring with?
No, man, I don't do the list thing. I will wrestle any and everyone, and I have fun doing it, but honestly, right now, I kind of I keep the moments with my friends mostly. That's my favorite times right now. I get in there with like Aaron or Jimmy Shane, Ryan Michaels, people like that, Cody Hawk, like because I don't get to wrestle them as much as I used to. So now, once I do, it's like very important, and you keep that stuff
Now,
close to your heart. Yeah.
since I talked to Aaron, are you willing once you, I guess, get towards the end of your career, maybe not once it's over, but would you ever step into the ring as a trainer?
Mm. I have thought long and hard about this, and I know that once I'm done, I'm gone. I know that for a fact. And the whole training thing, I would love to do that. I would honestly do it in a heartbeat. I lack so much patience, not in a bad way, but like I want you to do it right before we move on to anything else, like type of thing. I went to a training class not too long ago, and they were doing shoulder tackles, and nobody could get the shoulder tackle right. Then they moved on to the next thing. I'm like, I don't know why, because I would have stopped right there. I'm like, we're gonna do this for the next hour. And I know that's not a good way to make money, but I'm gonna make sure that if I'm putting my name on you, you're good, type thing. So I don't. To answer your question, I just think I'm too much of a perfectionist to be a trainer.
See, I think that would be perfect. You'd be perfect for it because, man, there's so many people that I see out there on the indies that should not be in a ring yet.
And I'm positive I would tell you that you shouldn't wrestle, and I don't think I'd make money that way either. I'm like, man, this isn't for you.
That's see, I think some people need to hear that. Some people just.
We have I'm probably gonna catch flack for this. We're in this moment now of wrestling is for everyone. I agree with you. Wrestling is for everyone. I don't think being a wrestler is for everyone. There's a spot in wrestling for anyone that wants to be in it. Being in the ring might not be it. And I don't think that's a bad thing to say.
Yeah. See, I joke around about being in the ring, but I would like to at least see if I had what it would take. Maybe not even actually become a wrestler, but be able to see if I could push myself at my age to be able to get in there. And yes, I probably couldn't go as long, but yet again, I'm at the gym 3-4 days a week now, and I'm out lifting guys half my age. I'm out training guys half my age, and I'm like, I could probably do it. But then I'd be like,
that man, like if you go in there and you respect it, by all means, push yourself and see. I'll be the first one to tell you if you can't, but I respect you trying it.
Yeah.
I always say that, like, everyone should run a show once to see how much that sucks. Everyone should take a bump. If you're going to talk shit, take the bump.
I went one time. This is so long ago. This is like 1995-ish, because my kids weren't born yet. I tried out for Al Snow School back in the day. And it was one of the ones where they would bring people in. If you did great, like the top 3, I think, got like free training. Then it was like half price, and then so forth and so on. And at my size, they told me I needed to be a cruiserweight. I needed to be able to do flying stuff off the ropes and stuff like that. Because at the time, I think I weighed like 140 pounds, soaking wet, holding a brick. And but they legit, I hadn't taken a bump yet, but I was doing all the exercises. I was also smart. I did not eat breakfast, so I did not throw up.
Smart. Good call. Good call.
And because I'm just legit watching these guys.
I lied to you earlier.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. There was buckets everywhere, and I walked in. I was like, "What are the buckets for?" And one guy goes, "Vomit." And I was like, "Oh, I'm glad I did not eat yet." So,
dude, I lied to you earlier when you asked about the superstitions. Yeah. I won't eat until after my match. That has never changed. That is my one thing.
I would not eat either. And the other thing that freaks me out, and I don't know if you do or not, The amount of people that I've met in wrestling that smoke, and that just weirds me out because I'm like, you gotta have
Yeah.
good cardio, and you cannot have good cardio and smoke. It's like,
One of the guys I help train and ride along with me, he smokes, and we get into it all the time over that. I knew you blow up because you smoke. Stop it.
yeah, I see that was the other thing is that I had to get healthy a couple years ago because I could not keep up with my son, my youngest. He was out running me and everything else like that, and I'm like, and
I'm
then
too competitive.
one day I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. So I started getting on the treadmill and on the elliptical and stuff like that. Now I got pretty good cardio, and I'm like, I could take off running. I can outrun. The best thing was the kid that used to come with me to wrestling all the time down in Dayton. He wanted to race me one day, and this kid's 33 now,
Yeah.
and so he's like, let's race. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, one thing is I got a bad knee and I'm old, so and I took off running, and I'm running, I'm side by side the entire time, and I forgot to take my hat off, so I'm like grabbing my hat as I'm running, and we
Gotta
passed
let it go.
and he's like, oh, we tied. I'm like, did we? I was like, because I'm old.
Really?
Young.
Yeah. I feel like that counts for something.
Yeah, shit. I think I should win by default just because I
Plus
kept
the
up.
hat was holding me back,
But oh man. So do you have future plans? Do you have a deadline? Are you one of them guys that set that like, hey, I'm done at 50 or I'm done at 40 or something like that?
Dude, if I'm still wrestling when I'm 40, put me out of my misery. I know when I'm done. I already have it in my head. So I do. I'm not going to tell anyone because, like I said, I'm real big on once I'm done, I'm done. So yeah, I do have that moment, that deadline in my head. So I know once my stay here is done, type thing.
So what are your post wrestling plans? Do you have plans?
I'm just gonna be dad, man.
Just be dad.
Yeah, that's it. I've taken away so much of their time. You might as well give it back. I do my best now to keep them both separate and to give all my time to both of them. So it'll be cool to just kind of have the one focus on them, So
Yeah.
that's kind
Now,
of where I'm at.
I don't know how many kids you got. Two,
3.
three. How do they like their dad being the wrestler?
They love it.
They love it.
The youngest is still kind of figuring it all out, but my middle son recently did a report for school. It was about someone that you can research online, and he told his teacher that he was going to do it on his dad. And his teacher's like, "You can't research your dad online." He showed him. He's like, "Yes, I can." And here's all this. So that embarrassed the crap out of me because I didn't know he did it until I got there. Because like I said, man, I keep wrestling and personal life like completely separate. So whenever they mix, I'm like, oh no. So you show up to a parent teacher conference and like, hey, your son did this whole PowerPoint presentation about you being a wrestler. I'm like, oh, so many questions to be answered now, type of thing. But the kids, they love it. The oldest is at the point now where he's way too cool for it. So, but beyond that, they've all about it, man.
My kids are my I have 3 adult children and 1 little one, and I remember the day that Dad stopped being cool, and now they're going back to now Dad's actually kind of cool again.
That's life. That's a circle, man. That's life.
Yeah, I'm the one who hangs out with my oldest is 32, 27, 23, 4, and no, yeah, 24 and 13. So
You hit the reset button, didn't you?
yeah, the
You had all these
last one
adults,
was,
and all of a sudden, no.
yeah, surprise.
Yeah.
Really, the 30-year-old was the biggest surprise because he's adopted. He'd been in our family. His mom was a friend of ours and stuff. And one day he showed up at our house because he had a fight with his mom and his brothers, and then he never went home. So he was the biggest surprise. He showed up one day and never went home.
Didn't even know.
No. And I love
That's
people like
surprise though.
I love him to death. I love all four of my boys, and they were they're a trip. All four of them are completely different. All four of them are crazy. My one son still loves wrestling. I take him whenever I can. We still go down to we went to SmackDown, we went to AEW, and he hasn't gone up to Michigan with me yet because I don't think he's ready for deathmatch wrestling. So
yeah. I don't think I am.
It's one of the days you're going to have to go with us. We're going to swing through because I'm not sure where you live, but we head up 70 or 75 up to Detroit area, and we go up there and.
I watched that stuff. I'm like, oh my god! Even now, like, why are we doing this to ourselves, guys?
I'm amazed by it because, I still see Alex Clone up there doing it, Murdoch up there doing it, and you're just like, guys, what are you going to do in like 5 years? I
don't think we think that way, man. We think about tonight. That's about it.
That's got to be, good if you don't think about. I know it's bad to not think about the future, because man, when you're living in the moment, you can just push yourself so much further and go for the bigger pop and the bigger moment and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and you're. Like I said, you're still killing it. You're still out there. The guiding light is probably, in the amount of time that I've known you wrestled and stuff like that, I think that's your best gimmick you've had. I wish I could follow more of it, but like I said, I don't get out to because you're on Saturday afternoons, and that's hard for me.
No, I get it. Trust me. No, I get it, man. It's definitely been like the thing I'm most proud of. I put everything into it, so it's been a fun ride so far.
Oh yeah, and
I'm excited.
You were you are the person that got me back listening to Boba Flex, though. I got to tell you that too.
Dude, you're welcome.
Yeah. I hadn't heard them in forever, and then I'm sitting there at Rockstar one time, and I was like, I like this song. Why are you not listening to that anymore? So I went back and started listening.
They just got back together.
Yeah. Now their new album just dropped. A guy I know, Kyle Hotz out of Dayton, did the artwork on the cover.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, he's a big comic artist. He's just a guy I know that's been around forever. Yeah. So before we go, do you have any upcoming events and matches and stuff going on?
Oh yes. I don't. I'm terrible at this. I don't have my date booked in front of me right now. But yeah, I'll be in West Virginia this weekend, and then I did not come prepared for this. Yep, I definitely do. You'll have to look it up on my Facebook. But I know, but I don't want to give out bad information.
All right. Where can people find you online at?
You can find me on Twitter at DarkStarMT. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube. I don't do anything else because I really hate social media. So those are about my necessary evils.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's necessary evil to do what I do on every step, because the comic book business, the podcasting, the shows, and I'm an idiot and I just keep myself super busy. Yeah. You find it to staying busy keeps yourself out of trouble?
Yes. Yes and no, because obviously I'll find the trouble as well, but
Now, not personal. I don't know. Are you still with the mother of your children? Yes.
Yeah.
So how's she feel about the wrestling? Good. Okay.
Yeah. Outside of like the kids and stuff, like any family member hates it, so it is what it is.
I remember my mom, the first time I asked to go see wrestling. It was, I think I was either 12 or 13, and it was during the house show at Hair Arena, and I was like, I want to go see wrestling, and she's like, wrestling like on TV? Yes. And then I found out that my grandmother had been taking me to wrestling since I was a little kid, little kid, like little. And that's when I found out that Piqua was the very furthest south point of the Sheik's Detroit territory.
Mhm.
So we got big time wrestling here in Piqua, and I found like an ad, and she's like, I showed it to her one time. I was like, "Hey, Grandma, look at this," and she's like, "I think we were there. I took you with your uncle," and I'm like, "So I saw the Sheik and like Ernie Ladd and Bobo Brazil." She's like, "Yeah, you got to see all them guys when you were little," and I'm like, "I don't remember it, but I was there."
Well, cool. Heck yeah.
So, but I appreciate you coming on here. I do, and like I said, I want to get a group one sometime. I got Ron who's going to be on a later episode, and then I've reached out to John and I'm going to reach out to Bruce and stuff like that. And if
That's a
there's
good bunch to have.
yeah, and once this is, I'm going to hit pause here in a second, and then I'll talk to you about if there's people that you don't want on the show with you or something like that. So,
I'll
all right,
now.
well, I'm going to end this episode today. I will put your information at the end of the episode so people can come find you, and then I'll see if I can find your dates and I can put them down there or at least talk about them later. So I'm going to end this episode, and I will talk to you here in a second.
Thank you so much.